another thing. Of course Joshua was supposed to win. I'm not nuts, but it's hard to completely just dismiss this guy at this point, Jake Paul, because he's picked his spots. He has been awfully smart.
It's business, more money. Only this.
I think the chances of Jake Paul beating Anthony Joshua, I don't know. He's got a very, very low chance. I can't see any way that Jake Paul can win a boxing match with 10, 12-ounce gloves on with Anthony Joshua.
Teddy Atlas gives a surprising take on the upcoming Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. He admits that on paper, Joshua should have the advantage given his experience, size, and skill. However, Atlas warns that it would be a mistake to dismiss Jake Paul entirely. He believes Jake is smart, disciplined, and has improved significantly since his earlier fights. At this stage, Jake knows how to manage pressure and use his speed. Atlas suggests that while Joshua is favored, Jake's chance of pulling off an upset cannot be ignored, making the matchup far more intriguing than most expect.
He's picked his spots. He has been awfully smart, and I don't know that he would make that huge a mistake, which it seems like he did, but I am not counting him out. I'm not, because everything I laid out there.
Alexander Usyk shares his thoughts on the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, offering both a professional and personal perspective. He acknowledges that Joshua has the power and skill to hurt Jake Paul badly if the fight turns serious. However, Usyk emphasizes that this matchup is primarily a business decision, a money fight, and should not be overanalyzed from a sporting standpoint alone. He also confirms that Joshua has been training with Usyk's team, benefiting from their expertise and guidance to prepare for any challenge. On a personal note, Usyk calls Joshua "my brother," highlighting their close bond beyond the ring. He respects Joshua's discipline and readiness, but reminds fans that this fight is more about financial opportunity than pure competition.
Anthony killed this guy. Listen, a lot of questions, blah blah blah. Only one my answer. Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. First. Jake Paul, it's he's a sportsman, YouTuber, showman. Rolls Royce, Fiat. Listen, it's true. I'm not. Типа я не обзываюсь.
I have nothing bad in mind.
Yeah. It's just true. It's business, more money. Only this.
So we need to pray for Jake Paul.
Yes. I will pray Jake Paul because I want fight with Jake Paul in octagon.
Yeah.
Do you think that Joshua should be fighting Tyson Fury next year?
I want this fight. Yeah, I want this fight. Listen, if I do, I very як буду сприяти.
I will try to help.
Yeah, I will try to help.
Joshua is training with your team.
Luke Thomas begins by analyzing Anthony Joshua's mindset going into the Jake Paul fight. He emphasizes that Joshua is approaching this bout with full confidence, believing he can win regardless of circumstances. However, Thomas points out that this fight carries more than just immediate consequences. A poor performance or loss to Jake Paul could have a direct impact on Joshua's upcoming clash with Tyson Fury. The heavyweight division does not easily forgive setbacks, and any blemish on Joshua's record would alter public perception, confidence, and potential strategy against Fury. Thomas stresses that Joshua is fully aware of the stakes and that his focus is not only on beating Jake, but also on maintaining his trajectory toward championship-level fights. This dual pressure amplifies the significance of every training session and strategic decision leading up to the fight.
Paul were to win, well, I mean, let's talk about this. So if Anthony smashes him very quickly, that's the end of Jake Paul, or at least it seems like a big part of the Jake Paul experiment goes. Right? That's one way that you get it. Or Jake Paul hangs on and does well, in which case it'd be huge vindication for him but it would be a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think Joshua took this because he feels like he's got a chance no matter what. He can win no matter what. There's reports that his fight with Fury will happen in 26. This would change that if he were to somehow lose or otherwise look badly, right? But they're going to go through with it. They're going to go through with it. They're actually going to do it. I cannot imagine that Jake would win this or even do well. The guy lost to Tommy Fury, granted some years ago at this point, but still. I'm very surprised Netflix is going through with this. Netflix has got a weird vibe on this, right? They are interested in just putting on big events, whether or not they make sense. I'm not sure what that does for their business. I'm not sure what that does for the boxing business. On the one hand, you do have to give it to Jake Paul. Like people said, you got to fight a credible guy. I never thought he'd fight a credible guy. He's fighting a credible guy. That's definitely real. But it's like, it's so credible that it feels like it could be ruinous no matter the result, like no matter who gets it. And that is strange. That is very, very strange. I mean, to go from Mike Tyson at nearly 60 to Gervonta, who's 5'6", to now Anthony Joshua, who's 6'6", it just, I felt like his whole game and his whole shtick was predicated on not doing.
Liam Goff, boxing analyst, raises a crucial point about Joshua's weight and conditioning. He notes that in previous fights, Joshua fought around 265 pounds. But for this matchup against Jake Paul, he will need to drop roughly 20 pounds in just a month. Goof highlights that such rapid weight reduction is not ideal for an athlete at Joshua's age. Losing that much weight quickly can affect energy levels, endurance, and overall performance. He explains that while Joshua's team is experienced and likely managing this process carefully, the physical toll cannot be ignored. At the elite level, even small changes in weight or conditioning can influence reaction speed, stamina, and punch resistance, making this an important variable in predicting how Joshua will perform in the ring against a motivated and younger opponent.
If he wins, that confirms rigged theories. If he loses, he will end up, best case scenario for him, lose and put up a great fight. But Joshua's weight has weighed more than 250 pounds in each of his last 5 fights. But it is believed that right now he is approximately 265 pounds when he took the fight, requiring him to drop 20 pounds for this fight in the space of a month. Now, you got to bear in mind, right, that's an awful lot of weight for someone to lose who's never actually had to make weight. And for someone like Anthony Joshua, who is never normally out of shape. I mean, he's never out of shape. So when Anthony Joshua's weighing 265 pounds, you're not imagining that he's, fleshy or anything like that. You're imagining that he's solid 265. How in God's name at 36 years old, in the space of a month, are you just going to chuck 20 pounds off you and not have that make an impact? It definitely will. He has not fought more than a year since his knockout loss to Daniel Dubois in September 2024, but Hearn is confident his boxer will make the weight class. There is no weight class, Daily Mail. It's not a weight class, it's a contracted weight. I spoke to Joshua, he was sitting at 265 or something. I told Nikita he was like 290 or something like that. He told BBC 5 Live. I said I'm not interested in balloon gloves, 2-minute rounds, but he did say it was a real fight. I asked him if it was a 10 or an 8-rounder. They said fine to an 8-rounder. They said the only thing is that Jake would be about 220 and they want Joshua to come down in weight. He's a heavyweight. He's not cut weight before, they said. Look, we're not being funny and it's not that we need an advantage. Well, you obviously do. But we need you to have some disadvantages. So that's an advantage. It's like Eddie Hearn saying, well, Chris Eubank Jr. wasn't disadvantaged by the rehydration clock.
Although the media and fans often frame this matchup as entertainment or a spectacle, the experts see a far different reality. Analysts observing Joshua's training clips note that he is preparing as a true professional with clear intent and focus. There is no indication that he is holding back or treating the fight lightly. Joshua's movements, sparring intensity, and drills all suggest a fighter who treats every session with purpose. Even if some view this as a money fight, those in boxing recognize that Joshua carries a mindset incompatible with any prearranged or casual scenario. This focus indicates that despite Jake Paul's reputation as an entertainer-turned-fighter, Joshua is taking the challenge seriously and preparing for genuine resistance in the ring. The public perception often highlights Jake Paul's belief that Joshua might be vulnerable. specifically suggesting that Joshua could be chinny or susceptible to early power shots.
So surely Lewis Crocker would be the easiest fight to make.
Yeah, but I think, as I said, we promote both fighters. We want to look at the best individual opportunities for both of the fighters we represent, for both Crocker and Conor. And for Conor, he's looking at those mega fights coming off the back of those 2 stadium fights. He wants the likes of Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, those big American names. And that's our job to go and deliver those type of fights for him. And for Crocker, we've got to deliver the biggest possible fight for him as well. But every fight is on its own merit. I understand what you're saying, Simon, around he's not going to do the second day weigh-in, but that's his choice. Just like Chris had a choice not to do that. They both made a decision to step, Conor in his half made a decision to step up in weight to 160. Chris made a decision to make 160 and then do the
but
170 the next day.
That fight was for money. We know that. This fight is for world titles. So there's a different. Conor Benn stepping up to 160 and losing to Chris Eubank doesn't damage his career unless he gets badly hurt because it's a shot to nothing, isn't it?
Well, I tell you what, Frank, one fight we know next month that is for money, as opposed to boxing. And boxing merit is Anthony Joshua against Jake Paul. How much are the boundaries of safety, Frank, being pushed for entertainment purposes here?
No, look, obviously we are in a dangerous sport. We have to accept that. And obviously the people looking after Jake Paul. If I was managing or promoting Jake Paul, would I say this is the right move for Jake Paul? Probably not. Being completely honest with you. But he's put himself in a position. Was Jake Paul Mike Tyson a sensible thing to do? To a 58-year-old man or 60, I'm not sure what Mike is, but was that sensible? Probably not, and I would have said that at the time, but it's the world we live in now. And the reality is a lot of people are going to watch it, but we also at the same time have to make the sport as safe as possible and put everything in place around it to ensure that. And that's what the commission, the Florida State Athletic Commission, will be doing, as will the promoters of the event.
So, Frank, not to finish on too much of a negative, but it begs the question, if Anthony Joshua ends up inflicting considerable damage on Jake Paul, how much does that reflect on you and Matchroom?
I think we go into the fight, we got offered a proposition to do this fight. Anthony Joshua accepted it. Jake Paul's put himself in a position to take that fight, and that's the reality, Jake Paul. But we all want everything we do in this sport, we want to make it as safe as we possibly can, but we have to accept the risks attached to it.
And this is risky, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is risky. I think Jake Paul's crazy. I think he's delusional. But respect to him for doing it, and he's getting a load of money.
And Frank, just to silence all the doubters here, a lot of people saying this can't be real, Anthony Joshua going in there, it must be an exhibition, or Anthony Joshua's it's going to be choreographed and Anthony's going to carry him through a couple of rounds. I know Anthony Joshua, just to silence all those doubters, he's going to go in there to do a job, right?
Frank Smith predicts an entertaining first round based on this idea, suggesting that Jake might attempt to exploit any perceived weakness immediately. Analysts caution, however, that such early expectations are speculative and that boxing often defies predictions. Still, Smith's comments highlight Jake's mindset going into the fight. Confident, aggressive, and focused on seizing an opening quickly. For fans and media alike, this anticipation of a potential first-round clash builds tension. Yet, insiders stress that the fight's outcome will depend on both strategy and execution, not just pre-fight bravado.